JT. Check out the show. Check it out. It's time for candid conversation. Conversation with Lady T and JT. It's time for candid conversation. Conversation with Lady T and JT. Check out the show.
Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Well, good evening and welcome to another Candid Conversation. I'm your host, Lady T. And of course, I have with me our girl, the hostess with the most is your girl.
This is your faithful sidekick, your girl, JT.
So crazy. Welcome, y'all. Welcome back to Candid Conversations here on Oak 93.5 on your FM dial. Or you may be streaming us live on Facebook or YouTube. You may be doing the repeat. Whatever you're doing, we're glad you're here. And we want you to click, like, and share. Did I say it right, Jay?
Yes.
Please do that. Do that for your girls. Because guess what? Last week, we had a treat. And you all wanted more. We started getting questions in the comments that we couldn't answer. I mean, we want more too. So what we do, Jay, we spin the block. Welcome back, Jarrin. Welcome back.
Twice. Listen, I will two times in 2 weeks. I'm honored to be here. I must have did something right. Listen, you get a call back, you did something right. So I
did something right. Listen, the ladies and the gentlemen, they were like, well, we want to talk more about the this and the that and the this. Well, hey, so we like, we have our people call his people, and hey, guess what? He was available today.
There you go. It ain't never too hard.
We are glad you could join us, Jarrin. We did get a treat. You dropped some jewels, some golden nuggets, I like to say, and we just want more. And where we left off was, I don't know if you're joining us and you didn't watch last week's show. The greatest thing about it, Jay, is that when people come up to us at church, wherever, they be like, I missed y'all on Tuesday. I missed y'all. Well, you don't ever really miss us because we're on. It's recorded, right? You can go back on and you can pull up the show. You can go back to the Conversation stage, the Oak radio station. They do this. They make this happen week in, week out, even though it's on the radio. So you can go back and check out the show. If you want to do yourself a favor and check out last week's show. Jarrin, you really shared a lot. We were blessed, and yes, we thank you for coming back. Where we want to start at, Jay? Because you were like, the ladies were saying this in the comments. Where did we start?
So we started last week about having a conversation around the importance of diet and health. Yes. And so, as you began to talk about, the different, growing your own food, which was like phenomenal.
Yes.
That was like a hot topic. We were getting questions that even after the show, we could not answer. And so we were like, okay, you got to come back and you got to talk more about that. I was just amazed at how you were growing things in your driveway, and then the different holistic medicines that you were talking about, the different herbs and how God, everything we need for healing is found in the earth. And just how you put that together. Yeah, the people wanted to hear more about this. So we wanted to give an opportunity for you to share more about that for sure.
Absolutely. Yes, Jarrin. And I would like for you, if I could put my little bid in, if I want to, I have limited space, but I would like to start the garden. So I want to take, I want you to hit that. I mean, a little something. If I get a cucumber and it grows, I'm going to think I'm a farmer. So just start, like someone just want to start with something small.
Okay, that's a great place to start. So if I had limited space and I wanted to start gardening, the first thing that I would do is I would go to either Lowe's or Home Depot. I would get a 5-gallon bucket. It costs maybe about $4. In those 5-gallon buckets, you can grow pretty much anything that does not come out large, such as a watermelon or honestly, that may be the only thing that's probably tough to grow in those. You take one of those 5-gallon buckets, you find you either a drill or a screwdriver, you poke some holes either in the bottom or you poke one on the side to let the water drain out. You go get you some soil, you put your soil in there, and you start your plant right in that bucket. It's really that simple. It can be a bucket. It can be, they have these things called grow bags. There are anything that can hold soil and can drain, you can grow something in. It's really not that difficult. I would go outside around my apartment, whether I have a balcony or in my home, I would see where the sun hits the most. That's where I'm going to put my bucket or my bag. And it is as simple as that. It really is not much more to it than that. Everything else goes to time and attention. So then, of course, depending on what I'm growing, I want to make sure that I'm growing in season. So, of course, as where we live, our season ranges pretty much from about March to about the end of the year, really about November, early November for us. During the spring and the summertime is where you grow the bulk of the fruits and vegetables that we love so much. But there are even things that you could grow over winter. Lettuce, leafy greens are good over winter, and they're extremely easy to grow. That may be even easier place to start. You can start in something as small as and they even need even less space. A small container, a small bucket, a small bowl in literally from your kitchen. As long as it has drainage, you can put you some lettuce seeds in there, and you can start growing you some lettuce right on a balcony or something. They don't need a lot of heat. They don't need a lot of sunlight. So there's so many ways to do it. You would be mind blown once you start. You'll see that it's really not that much to it. And just like I told y'all yesterday, it's in us. It's in us. We've done this for millions of years, and our ancestors have done it for millions of years. So it's just a matter of remembering. And that's just where I would start. Just something as simple as lettuce. Lettuce has a quick turnaround. Lettuce is not difficult to grow, and you can grow it pretty much year round as long as it's not too hot. They actually don't like hot weather, and just play around with some lettuce and go from there. That would be a great place to start. Seeds are available on Amazon. They're available in department stores. And you want to starting a collection, so you go for heirloom seeds. If you can get you some of those, HEIR heirloom seeds, those are basically the seeds that have been the original seeds. They're not genetically modified. They're the ones that have stood pretty much time, have been passed down through generations. So all of the things that I grow are from heirloom seeds as well. So that would be a good place. Like I said, it's not the most difficult thing at all to start. And once you do it, you'll see just a little time and attention. So to circle back, I believe the next part we were talking about was it the food or the medicine?
It was the holistic medicine. And so just really quick, good evening, April. Thank you for tuning in. Good evening, Melinda. Thank you for tuning in. But yes, we were talking about the herbs, because you've got some people in here that, they are into holistic medicine. They know about the different vitamins and minerals and supplements you can take to kind of help you. And I'm trying to learn more about that because you said something last week that stuck with me. And you said that you didn't say it like this. This is the Janet remix. But you said that prescriptions, like if you get on a prescription, that equates to like residual income for these pharmaceutical companies. So it's best to, look at things, or holistically, for your health.
Right. Okay, so let's go down that road. So one of the biggest things about even understanding when we talk about the history of what we call allopathic or naturopathic medicine, the history of it. So early 1900s in this country, there was a man named Abraham Flexner. He created something called the Flexner Report. The Flexner Report, prior to the early 1900s in this country, pretty much all hospitals and apothecaries were natural. They used herbs. They had things like they understood the fabrics that were on the bed, such as using linen sheets. That was it greatly affected healing. They had sun decks in hospitals to where when patients were sick, they had a whole bunch of beds literally on the top of the sun, just how we spoke, on top of the hospitals where those patients would receive. They had sun rooms and sun decks. They had all of these natural things. So what this guy did in the early 1900s is he went around to every hospital in this country and he took note of the hospitals that used natural holistic medicine and those that didn't. And he was funded by the Rockefeller family. So he created this report for John D. Rockefeller and came back and said, basically, these are the hospitals that do medicine this way, and these are the hospitals that don't. So John D. Rockefeller, who has a long storied history of being a banker, financier of things in that nature, he was basically given the task of saying, we will now go around the country and we will tell every hospital that uses holistic medication they will not receive funding unless they start to use these new petroleum-based prescription drugs. And that was the introduction of what we call modern medicine and the prescription industry as we know it, the big pharmaceutical companies. They literally went around and shifted the country through money through something called the Flexner Report. His name is Abraham Flexner, Flexner. And they were able to take every single sector of this country that was using the natural herbs and plants and was able to shift them back to, or not back to, but to petroleum-based, these inauthentic supplements and drugs that we're taking today. So that's the history of it. So now we fast forward and we look at the proof. Like I tell people all the time, we don't have to make things up. We can just look at it. All of the chronic diseases and ailments and sicknesses have risen astronomically with industrialization. We have the data's there. We see that high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, all these things are off the charts and they're growing exponentially. Cancer is said to actually double in the next 20 years due to the amount of prescriptions that not only, and here's the big thing, I'm going to tie the food and the medicine together for you, because a lot of people will say, well, I don't take prescription drugs and luckily I don't have to do, I'm dodging that bullet. Well, did you know that in America, 80% of all prescription medication actually goes to animals? It doesn't go to humans. 80% of all the medicine used in America goes to chicken, cows, pigs, and fish. So what's happening is something that is beginning to brew is something that's called antibiotic resistance. Since they're mass producing these animals extremely fast, a lot of them are sick. So they're having to give them medicine to keep them alive just enough to go into production so that they can become whatever it is that they need to become, right? So what's happening is the medicine that they're giving these animals is still in these animals once they're sold on the market. So not only are we eating the animal, we're also eating the medicine that the animal took before it passed away. So what's happening with that is we're also getting doses of antibiotics when we don't even need them. And that's birthing something called antibiotic resistance, which is where the correlation with cancer is supposed to increase. Where that comes from is because they're saying that by us regularly taking these drugs, if we get to a point where we actually have to take one where we need it, we've been taking them so regularly that our bodies will be resistant to it. It'll be almost null and void because we've been taking these things in so regularly. Not only is it in our food, the tap water, you have things like atrazine and fluoride. These things have been proven to be in there. There's a chemical called atrazine that has been found in most city tap waters that changes the sex of frogs. The atrazine was given to male frogs and it changed the male frogs into female frogs. This is so we don't even realize all the ways that we're being induced with medicine. And that also leads to the detox part, right? Because a lot of people think that when we're detoxing or when we need to detox, this needs to be a special occasion or something we don't need to do regularly. But that goes back to we're literally being exposed every single day, knowingly and unknowingly, to these toxins. And if you're not constantly being able to have that give and take to where there's no way that we can avoid it, myself included. No one's above it, right? We can't completely avoid these things, but what we can do is be mindful. And then once we learn that the body will help us as long as we keep our natural detoxification pathways open, that it will help us work in that cyclical nature with these toxins that are around us, because there's no way to avoid it. So we have to be mindful of what those things are and how we eliminate them.
Wow. That's good. That's good. Janet, I think there's a few comments we can maybe hit. Can you see?
Yeah.
I see Pastor Thrash.
April wrote, Tar Heel Nursery in Anger has lots of heirloom plants and seeds early in the spring as well. Pastor Cedric Thrash wrote, now this is what the church must talk to the saints about.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I agree with that. May slow some people down for that fried chicken every Sunday. I agree. So yeah. And Jarrin and Pastor Thrash, thank you for being here. Another one of our fan favorites and a man of lots of wisdom. Jarrin, you mentioned something. I'm trying to take notes. I'm literally over here taking notes. But not today, but on one of your videos or one of your reels, you said something about protein. Now I went and bought this big old jar thing of protein, right? So I'll make up me some protein shakes. You know what I'm saying? I'm told I need 30 grams per day to get into a specific age. I'm told. When I looked at your reel, you said, "Who told you that?" So I want to know who told me that and why.
That's one of my favorite questions. The good old protein question. Protein question. So I always like to start with, because I was taught the same thing as you know, growing up. We follow the food pyramid. We need to eat these things. Protein is the building blocks of life. You get it from animals, and that's how you stay strong. If you don't eat it, you're going to be frail and sick, and you're going to die, right? So of course, that's what we were taught in the condensed version. What they didn't teach us is that we didn't follow. If you just follow very simple logic, it leads you back to your answers. Because my first favorite question when we talk about protein is, okay, where are the animals that you're getting the protein from getting their protein from? If we're saying we get protein from cows and chickens, where are the cows and chickens getting protein from? Are they born with protein? Is this something magical that's just transforming and transporting into their body? Well, no, the answer to that is that all protein comes from plants. That is what protein is made from, the interaction of nitrogen with plant matter in order to create plants, which is why a cow is not frail and skinny. You've never seen, unless it's been intentionally not around grass or something, but you've never seen a skinny cow. They only eat grass. You've never seen a weak gorilla. They only eat grass. You've never seen a skinny elephant. So where are they getting their protein from? So we have to realize that we've been sold an incomplete story, is what I like to call it. So when we think that we have to get protein from a secondary source, we're basically getting the protein that the animal ate itself. We're getting secondhand protein. That's the protein that we get when we think of a steak or chicken. We're actually getting the protein that the animal got only from eating the plants. So with that, and even like the protein powders and the protein shakes, because I know that's a trendy thing now, because it's convenience. They're selling us convenience, but we don't understand how detrimental it is to our health. So when we talk about protein shakes and just protein, just what it's all made out of, let's just start at the base. Whey powder. If you turn over any protein, anything, that's going to be probably the first thing you see, something called whey, WHEY powder. Well, whey is the waste product of cheese. That's what it is. So what they do is, once they're making cheese in Wisconsin and all these places, what they have to do is they have to isolate the liquid from the part of the cheese. And what happens is they have all of this, what's called whey, in the water. So maybe about in the early 50s, maybe about the early 50s is when this came about, when the big bodybuilder boom started happening. They had all these mountains and mountains and mountains of whey, which was just gunky, just material. They didn't know what to do with it. So someone found out that if you dehydrate it and make it into powder form and tell people that it will make their muscles bigger, you can sell this as what we call protein powder. So protein powder and whey protein, or whey powder, is the waste material of cheese being created. So that, that's always interesting when I tell people how that comes about. But yeah, you can feel free to look it up. They actually have mountains and mountains of this stuff. That's why they sell you a whole tub of it for $15. You know, when you think about it, they're not giving you anything in mass quantity in bulk that can actually help you, and also doing it cheaply. Either you're gonna pay a pretty penny for something, or you're gonna get a little bit of something if it's meant to do good for you, right? But they're giving people these big tubs of protein for $25.99. Right. That's not on accident. That's very intentional, because they have all these things sitting around and they repurpose these waste products and they convince us to use them for different things, and they'll help you with this and that, and you know, the byproduct is your health. So to say, does whey or does protein, can it help build muscle? Sure. But what are you trading off from it? A lot of times you're trading off kidney filtration. You're trading off liver damage, because these protein powders and these protein shakes have a lot of heavy metals, lead, arsenic, cadmium. They have endocrine disruptors, things that we're also going to talk about as well, that I want to touch on when we start talking about things that we can do for ourselves. But they're filled with all of these things that we're getting a short-term benefit for a trade-off that's going to be detrimental to our health long term. So I tell people all the time, I don't count, measure, how much quote unquote protein I take in, not a single day, because once I understand what it is and how we've been taught that it's something that we don't need much of at all because it's actually what's deteriorating our health, I've actually felt a lot better when I cut back on the things that were high in protein and I focus on things that were fiber, nutrient, like just base nutrients. That's what most people are missing. It's not a protein deficiency. It's things that are fiberless and things that are waterless. And a lot of those things are pulled from people's diets. And that's why we have a lot of these problems, because people are basically clogged up because a lot of things they eat have very little to no fiber and they have little to no water. So if you think about your digestive system, it's just nothing but a 30-foot tube that starts here and ends there. And depending on how much water something has in it, is the indicator of how easily it is to remove from the body. So a lot of times when we're eating things that don't have fiber and don't have a high water content, like fruits and vegetables, they'll ferment and rot inside of the gut. And that's when you get things such as mucoid plaque. That's where you get all of these different things, which is why how we spoke last week about colon cancers being on the rise, because of a lot of it is coming from the fiberless, protein heavy foods that we're eating. And it's literally just clogging that pipe up bit by bit, slowly but surely. And the good news is all you got to do, just get right back on the good path that nature gave us, get that fiber and that water back into you, and literally start brushing and pushing those things out. And the body, listen, the body will do everything that it can to keep you alive. So once you give it that help, it'll definitely fight for you. But we have to have that awareness to do the things that it needs so that it can have a fighting chance.
I know, right? Everybody's in the comments like, wow, oh my gosh, right? I saw you, Pastor Cedric. I'll leave the fried chicken alone, sir. Yes, sir. I saw you. But Jarrin, you made and this is real good information. Now I'm sitting here looking at all this. I won't say the name. It starts with a P. With a whole bunch of grams of protein in it, and I don't even have to drink that stuff. What's the best way for someone to detox? Like we have like a million zillion different detox ingredients to, on Facebook and everywhere else. And I know there's got to be a simpler way, a more natural way maybe. And how
Absolutely.
often?
To be completely honest with you, the detoxes for me don't even start with the food, because I know that's a lot of people's biggest battle. When they hear a detox, they instantly go to, oh, I got to starve myself, which food is an important factor. But there are other things that are gravely impacting our ability to detox. So we can just go down the list of probably most important and then go from there. Number one is breathing. I tell people this all the time. The best way that you can detox is breathe properly. So with our breath, we breathe roughly about 20,000 times a day. People don't realize that, one, they don't breathe deep enough down into their lungs, into their diaphragm. And a way that you can know if you're breathing properly is very simple. Every time that you inhale and take air in, you should feel your stomach go out. That means your lungs are expanding down to the bottom. But a lot of people are actually the opposite. When they inhale, their stomach sucks in. That means you're only breathing to the top part of your lungs, and the whole bottom part of your lungs, to where you have alveoli and bronchioles and things like that, they're not getting oxygen. And oxygen is a key player in everything that your body needs, because that's what the blood carries to every part of your body, oxygen. So if we're not breathing right, we're not able to allow the oxygen to get in. When we exhale that carbon dioxide, that's called a waste product, because we're actually literally exhaling waste. But if we're not breathing properly and deeply, we're actually not even giving ourselves a fighting chance to detox properly first. So that's why they tell you when you're angry or when you're doing this and that, they tell you to take a deep breath. Well, why not just take deep breaths all the time? Just for life. Like, why is there a rule that you only are supposed to breathe deeply and to breathe correctly when you feel negatively, right? So being mindful of your breath, not mouth breathing.
Good.
Mouth breathing is another really big one, because whenever you breathe through your mouth, your nose is a filter. You have all kinds of filters, not only in the back of your nasal cavity, but you have hairs and things in your nose that you don't have in your mouth. whenever we breathe through our mouth instead of our nose, we don't give our body that chance to filter out a lot of the stuff that we're inhaling, because there are trace minerals of heavy metals and dust and all these things in the air that our nose filters out properly that our mouth does not. So mouth breathing is another way to slow down your detox. Make sure you're breathing through your nose and breathing deeply as much as you can. And that's a big one for a lot of people, because they're not even aware of, you know, even little things down to that breathing, right? Just being mindful of, oh, my mouth is open, I'm breathing through my mouth. Just start to be mindful of it. Nose breathing, deep breathing, that's the first one, because we do that all day, every day. Breathing is the first step. And everybody can breathe, and you ain't got to break the bank to breathe. You don't got to eat nothing different. Right. We start with very practical things. Breathing. The next one is sweating. Once again, has absolutely nothing to do with eating. So with sweat is really interesting, because I recently actually just read a book about sweat, and there are things that come out of our sweat that we're not able to detox through blood or urine. So there are things that can only leave our body through sweat. That's how important sweat is to us. That's why through history, there have always been many cultures that had sweat houses and sauna houses, like for centuries back. And even if you, great grandma, whatever, they'll tell you, sweat, let that baby sweat it out, or things like that. That's ancient knowledge. That's not something accidental or people making that up, because sweat is a very powerful detoxification pathway. And it also goes back to what we were talking about last week as well, to where, yes, our greats and our ancestors ate certain things and they had to out survival, but they were also under that sun sweating all day. They were in warm houses sweating all day. Great grandma kept that house on 85. It was warm all day, right? So even with that, they were naturally detoxing all day from the things that were around them. Fast forward to today, a lot of people can't really tell you the last time that they had a deep sweat, right? So that means that things have just been coming in and we haven't been getting them out. Then we combine that with the breathing. So that means more things have been getting in that we're not getting out, right? And we haven't even taken food yet. So the breathing, sweating. So I always tell people, the main reason that I have a gym membership is actually not even a gym, it's the sauna. The sauna will completely change your life. Just 40 to 50 minutes per week in a sauna decreases all-cause mortality, heart disease, cancer, diabetes by 40%, just 50 minutes a week. Not every time you go in there. 50 minutes spread throughout a week decreases everything that you may die by 40% that are of health-related causes that aren't trauma-induced. So
doctor never told me that.
Right, of course, you know.
Never told me that.
And a lot of times, and this is what we even have to learn, even with doctors, you know, because a lot of people will say, "Man, you must be really angry, or you must have some." They don't know. They don't know these things. You'll find that they don't even know these things, because they were put into a system that it was already laid out for them, that told them this is what you need to learn. All you need to learn is prescription schedules and how to administer drugs, which is why none of them doctors don't have to take a nutrition class. That's why none of them speak about food, because they didn't have to take a class about it. They don't have to study food. They study drugs and they study procedures. That's what medical school is for. So once you understand that, then it kind of makes those things, you know, it allows you to have grace too, because I do believe that there are a lot of doctors that really in their hearts of hearts think that they're doing something that's right. And you would never want to discredit someone that believes that they're doing something correct. But at the same time, ignorance does not exonerate. Just because we think we're doing something that we mean well about, it's still on us to do our due diligence to make sure, right? Ignorance does not exonerate. So, you know, even with that, a lot of this stuff is not going to come from the doctors, because it's been a few generations since any doctors have even heard any of these things. But the breathing, the sweating is so important. And then the last one that I want to touch on, only because it's really important, and I just want to give people alternatives that aren't even food related. We can get to the foods, but that's everyone's biggest battle. What you put in your house and on your skin. So plugins, air fresheners, candles, scent, lotion, colognes, perfumes. A lot of these things have what are these things in them called phthalates. All right. Phthalates are hormone disruptors. I want to think of the easiest way that I can break this down. Every time that, let's say we have that wonderful cherry blossom lotion that we love, every time we rub that on our skins, for example, we have to remember that the skin is a sponge, not a shield. What we put on us goes in us. So anything that we wouldn't eat, we should stay away from putting on our skin because it goes directly into the bloodstream. What these phthalates are doing, every time we inhale them, every time we put them on our bodies, they're going inside of our bodies and they're acting like hormones such as estrogen, and they're throwing our bodies completely out of whack because hormones are instructions for your whole, every system in your body needs hormones to be able to function properly, right? So these things that we're inhaling are going inside of our body and hijacking us. That's where the migraines, the insomnia, that's where all of these things are coming from. And it a lot of times has absolutely nothing to do with foods, but things that we're putting on our bodies and that we're inhaling all day. So I was big on smells and candles, but once I understood that, oh, if my candles are not beeswax or maybe even some soy ones and don't have any artificial fragrances in them, they had to leave my house. The black ice, the little trees that we love in our cars, the little Febreze fresheners. I understand that people love things that smell good, but you have to understand what you're trading off for the sake of something smelling good.
You are right.
That's why those things linger on you when you leave the car, when you leave the house and you still smell it on you. Those are the phthalates because they cling to things. They also cling to the inside literally of your body and your nose. So when we inhale these things, that's why you still smell it when you're gone, because it's in your body now. It's going in there and it's mimicking hormones such as estrogen. And that's where all of the it can be hypothyroidism or hyperthyroidism or whether anything, there are so many hormone related problems that our community has, even down to insomnia, where people feel like they need melatonin. Well, melatonin is a hormone. A lot of people don't understand that. Serotonin is a hormone. So we're disrupting even down to our sleep patterns with things that are as simple as the candles and the plugins that we choose to have in our home. So I tell people all the time, as much as you love it, the best for what I've done, the soap that I use, Castile soap, so like Dr. Bronner's, any of those natural ones with natural essential oils, or African black soap. Those are the only two soaps I've used for maybe about the past 10 years. And you'll notice even things like Dove and Old Spice, they don't even say the word soap on them anymore because they're not soap. It says Dove Beauty Wash or Dove Body Wash because it's not even soap. It can't have the word soap on there because soap indicates it's short for a word which is soponification, which means a fat or a lye was involved in making this. So even down to our soaps, we're not using soap. We're just using a whole bunch of chemicals, which is why the word soap has literally even disappeared off of our soaps. So keeping it simple, y'all. Black soap, Castile soap are the two soaps that I use. When I talk about moisturizers, coconut oil and shea butter is where I keep it. None of those other things. If you can turn it over and you see a whole bunch of words and you don't understand what those words are, my advice would be to put it back, man. So that's just the best way that I can, keep it for people. And then for the people that love fragrances, diffusers and essential oils. So I have instead of the candles, right, or the plug-in, it's a diffuser, right? And these are the alternatives that, a lot of people will say that the convenience is not worth the trade-off, but we have to understand the residual effect that happens down the road. You're not trading off for right now, you're trading off for the potentiality of what could happen to you 7-10 years, because being sick over candles is foolish when you think about it. Being sick over lotion, being sick over perfume is foolish, right? But these are things that we trade off for the sake of short-term convenience and short-term happiness, and it's slowly destroying our health. So definitely, y'all, before you even touch the food, just be mindful of what you're putting on your body and what you're inhaling in your space that you breathe in all day and in those cars, because those things are doing a number on people's hormones.
Wow.
Amazing. Yeah, I think we all are speapless.
Right, because I'm sitting here like, I just finished spraying some Febreze.
Listen,
Lord, I got plug-ins everywhere.
I understand.
So I'm glad you're giving us some alternatives that smell good too, right? Like, yes,
and and even down to your cleaning supplies, you want to be mindful. Try to get some cleaner The Pine Sols and the Fabulosos and all those Cloroxes and all those Lysols, those are actually, whenever we're using those things, we're actually creating a space that's ideal for the bacteria to grow. So whenever you're cleaning, you want to use things like vinegar. You want to use things like cleaning white distilled vinegar, because it doesn't have all of those, because the cleaning products also have those same phthalates in them. That's why that Fabuloso and the Pine Sol smell that way, because they put those same things in them. So just being mindful to the things you use in your home. If you smell it, and you know that you didn't go out to the Bahama Breeze, your house should not be smelling like the Bahama Breeze unless you found some essential oils to make it that way. Now, that's all I can suggest for people, and then see how you feel. Just try it and see how you feel. That's why I can tell people all the time. Maybe you got migraines and you sniffing plugins all day. You don't understand why you got migraines all day. Take the plugins out for a week and see how you feel. Because those things do make a big difference.
And I know when you said endocrine disruptors, that really did me, because I'm like, endocrine disruptors, thyroid, a lot of women, we deal with Jay. Yes. So,
Yes.
That thing hit.
Hormones.
So I definitely want to touch on that. And I know what you say to be a fact. I have a friend that told me just recently, their friend is an embalmer. And when people pass away and they embalm, they smell all this fragrance in their in the funeral homes from the fragrance from what we smell all day, and these plugins.
Yes.
When they're
those things stick to the inside of your body.
Yes,
they really stick to you. Mm-hmm.
That came straight from a funeral home. So wow. So can we touch on that endocrine disruptor situation?
Absolutely.
We don't want to disrupt no endocrine around here, Janet.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So, whenever we talk about the endocrine system itself, anything in your body that has the word gland with it. So you have things in your brain that are part of it, your pituitary gland, your pineal gland, your thyroid gland, even down to your pancreas. Your pancreas is part of your endocrine system. These are basically, this system is in touch with different parts of other different systems in your body to give it instructions. Whenever we think hormones, I want you for now and to forever, whenever you hear hormones, think instructions. That's what hormones are. They're instructions. They tell your body to wake up, to go to sleep, to be happy, to eat, to be hungry, to not be hungry, right? So if our instructions are constantly out of whack, something's throwing them out of whack. And the number one endocrine disruptor right now is actually phthalates. It's and then the food. But so many people, they even did a study, especially with our women, that our women are exposing themselves to close to 200 chemicals per day, between the smells of the lotions and the perfumes and it's the chemical overload with no detoxification of it is building up residually. So that's where all these thyroid issues and all these hormone issues are coming from, is because we're depositing all these things. And then once again, that breathing, that sweating, that moving is another great detoxification. Every time you move, your lymph system needs to constantly be moving, which is why sitting is so bad for us. They're saying that sitting, the amount per day you sit correlates inversely with your life expectancy. People that sit more die earlier. Like, these things are things that we have to know, right? So all of the fixes that we need, I heard someone say that it's not easy, but it is simple, right? Because we hear, oh yeah, it's simple to take the blade out. That's simple, but it's not easy when you're attached to it, when you're used to something. So that's the difference between something being simple and easy. Because yes, it is simple. Is it easy? No. But you give yourself the chance first. You never want to shoulda, coulda, woulda. At least give yourself the chance to see where it lands. And that's always what I tell people. But yes, y'all, those the fragrances, if it would be one big thing for me, it would be those plugins. Is what does the sniffy, smelly stuff for our women. That's what's really disrupting a lot of our hormones, down to the shampoos and conditioners as well. Like, all of those things. That's why you find some that say paraben free or phthalate free. Like, they go out of their way now to tell you. But even in those things, there's still a lot of those things are still in a lot of those products, right? So the more you can get back to simple ingredients with things, even down to your shampoo and soap, it will work. absolute wonders for your hormones. That's really what it is. It's a chemical overload from our everyday products, not even really the food.
Wow.
Right.
Jarrin,
Wow.
I'm gonna give a little bit of transparency. Tanisha's gonna laugh because one of my things is I buy plugins in bulk. Like, I'm not gonna talk about how many I have, but I'm a collector. And if you ever need any, I'm your girl. If anything is ever discontinued, I'm your girl. Like, I have a whole section of my house devoted to them because I love the way things smell. And
Yes, yes, she does.
and so this is excellent information. So in the comments, you can't see it, but Dr. Shante Frederick was saying that this was excellent information. April Warren, this was excellent information. Pastor M. Lamont Cooper said, this is good stuff. Katina Trapp, she says, this is great information. These are those things that we simply don't know. But when you know better, you do better, but I would have never thought that fragrance, and my mother-in-law Melinda wanted me to make sure, and I'm gonna put it on the screen here, that she too thinks that this is excellent information. But I would have never thought that fragrance would be a hormone disruptor because, again, for women, scent is a really big thing for us. And I'll say, as a Generation X woman, right, when in the 90s, when fragrance became a really big thing, like and Tanisha, you clock me on my dates now, but like from 93 to about 99, it was all about layering, putting your smell good lotion on, then layering with the fragrance, so that all day long you have this very inviting scent. And so now for 30 years, we've been walking around trying to have a very inviting scent, and it's a detriment to our health. That's a little overwhelming to process.
It is, but it makes sense real quick. It makes sense with women in these thyroid issues. And everybody I meet, they taking levothyroxine and it's all these women, the dots do connect. Yeah. Oh, but boy, what a woosah.
Girl, what a whole candid conversation.
Just like, oh.
My biggest thing is I tell in the beginning, it does feel like a lot. It does. And that's why I don't try to have these conversations, which is why I appreciate this as well, because it's not, as I've gotten older, I've become really mindful of having those conversations and when to have those conversations and understanding how to have those conversations, because people want to do us right. No one is waking up and saying, hey, I want to make a whole bunch of decisions that are bad for myself. Nobody does that, so we shouldn't wake up under the auspice of, oh, people are intentionally doing these things to themselves. They don't know these things, right? So that's why we have to be here, in order to give the information and to make sure that, we stand in the gap and do our due diligence. And which is, I know that's my gift, to be able to find and research this information and then be able to bring it back to people in a way that is understandable and digestible. I know I'm very well aware that that's where my thing is, right? So just being open to that and being receptive to the needs of, like you said, so many of our people are going through these things and they just have no clue. But a lot of times the truth is in plain sight, right? It's right, literally right under your nose.
Yes. And we walk around with a computer in our hand all day, or in our pocketbook all day. And the bottom line is to do your due diligence. And it makes sense now. Now we know better. We have to do better. And we appreciate that information. And it tells you, if you really are serious about your health, you'll make changes, maybe small changes, right, at a time. Right. I'm going to tell you now, I'm taking teaspoons.
There you go. Yeah. That's what it's about.
Baby spoons, right? But I am very interested in the fragrance part. So we're going to go back. We can talk about that later, but you got to tell me what I could take, pull some of this stuff out the wall, and what other options I could use. Now, I don't burn candles that much, because I did hear about the candle stuff, right? We still do give them out for Christmas, though, don't we, Janet?
I'm gonna stop giving out candles because I'm not trying to kill nobody. But Tanisha, what he said we could do, since we like makeup and we like to smell good, is if we take 50 minutes and go to the sauna, that'll decrease
Sweat it, sweat it out.
40%. So, girl,
Come
we
on.
can commit to that. We can go
There you
sweat
go.
out
Do that.
for 40
We can
minutes.
do that.
And that's the give and take. And that's
There
what
you
I'm
go.
talking about right there. Because nobody's gonna get it all right. Nobody's gonna do it all
Right.
perfect. But understand how to get rid of some of that stuff. That's all. That's all.
That's
You
it.
gotta understand how to get rid of some of it. Mhm.
Yes, and everybody's people say this is good in the comments. It really, really is, and hopefully we don't forget it. Sometimes we listen to something, we hear it, we like all emotional about it, and then tomorrow or the next day we just don't forget about it, and we forget about it. But we really do need to make these changes. I know specifically me, I grabbed something early, and that was that sauna situation, Janice. So I'm here for it. Oh, I see my cousin Tavante all the way out in San Francisco. I can't read his comment, Janet. Can you see it, Tavante?
His comment says, very informative. Now, I can tell my wife to get rid of all the scents that are giving me a headache.
Devontae, my guy, what's up?
You about to have a fight. I don't know if it's gonna go down like that.
Yeah, she said
again,
she don't have no headache.
And listen, now I can understand why I was having migraines. I get it. Okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. Boy, what we gonna start doing, Janet? Sauna. Effective immediately. That's right. We're gonna start. And I advise everybody because I know people don't like to sweat. That's enough. You do know that, right, Jared? We don't want to be uncomfortable with sweat. That's like, and Jared, I thought you were gonna tell them that when you say I'm gonna be transparent. I'm like waiting for you. They had to tell them you one of those ones that don't like to sweat.
I wasn't prepared to go there. I wasn't going to be that transparent, Tanisha. We want to talk about the plug-ins.
I'm saying she gonna tell it. She don't like to sweat.
Get a little sweat running. That's all. You'll feel better. You'll feel all those endorphins. They release all kinds of good stuff in your brain. Oh, you'll be so glad you did.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do it.
And the breathing part, that's excellent. I was over here breathing while you was talking about it. I'm practicing my breathing. So every little thing we can do that can help. That's what we really want to do, you all. If you are listening, hopefully you're taking notes. And we can start with just something to do is breathing. So we don't have to go buy all of these different products to try to come up with a detox with 15 different vegetables and 20 different seedless fruits. And I'm like, why is this fruit seedless? How did it grow? I want to talk about that. So like when you see all this seedless fruit in the grocery store, G. How is that? Should we be buying that? Should we be even? I mean, I know that we don't have a lot of choices now because it's hard to find grapes with seeds in it now.
Right. That's a very good question. With growing and agriculture, what I've learned is that yes, there are a lot of crops that have been genetically modified to be seedless that are not supposed to be. But there are some instances to where something can just be simply cross-pollinated and made seedless, which is not the same as it being a fake fruit. So for example, there is a way that you can have a quote unquote seedless watermelon that's not necessarily a GMO watermelon per se. With that, I think the two biggest ones as far as seeds is always the biggest people is watermelon and grapes, right? It's watermelon and grapes as far as the seeds. Even though we can talk another day about how all the seeds slowly disappeared out of the oranges and limes and lemons too. But just to kind of stay in the main thing, what I would say is this. This is what I tell people. If I have a choice between a seedless, how did I say this? If I have seedless organic grapes versus seeded non-organic grapes. So for those that can't tell, whenever you go to the grocery store, if it starts with a 9, it's considered organic. If it starts with a 4, that's typically means it's conventionally grown and has pesticides, insecticides, and herbicides. What you want to think about is this. Anything that has a soft shell, that's if you can squeeze it in your hands, buy it organic, because the pesticides have easily seeped through that. So if I have the choice between seeded non-organic grapes and seedless organic grapes, I'm going with the seedless organic grapes only because mainly based off of the fact that those seeded grapes that are non-organic are full of pesticides, so much so to the point where they've done studies to where they've taken grapes that were grown with those pesticides and all they did was just squeeze the grape juice out, and the grapes still had so many pesticides in them that they could spray them on the new crops of grapes still. They could use the grape juice as spray on the pesticides still. They've done it with strawberries as well. So anything that's soft, strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, grapes, buy organic, because that soft membrane means that things are easily able to get in and out of it. Now, when it comes to a watermelon, for example, you can buy a watermelon non-organic. Why? Because it has that hard shell. It has something to protect it And we know that the pesticide, and now granted, is there probably going to be pesticides in it? Sure, because there are still pesticides in organic food as well. Just because something says organic does not mean that there was nothing used on it. It just means that the things that they said were okay to be used on it were used on it. But something labeled USD or organic still has chemicals sprayed on it too. It still has wax on a lot of those things too. So cleaning, even back to cleaning stuff the proper way with baking soda and using vinegar to make sure you get that wax coating off of stuff. All of those things are really real. But my biggest thing is whenever I'm buying berries and grapes, anything with a soft membrane, I'm automatically going organic. If it's something such as a watermelon or a lemon or something with a harder shell, so to speak, you can buy those things in organic still because it had some protection or some barrier from all the pesticides being sprayed on it. But yeah, strawberries, organic every time. Grapes, organic every time, because it's not worth the trade-off that comes with what they sprayed on that stuff.
Wow. That right there was powerful, because I don't think them blackberries I bought last night were organic. Oh, okay. I'm doing. Jenny, you buy all organic?
No.
See, we didn't know, Jarrin.
Yeah, and nobody listen. No. I don't buy all organic. It's just certain things that I make sure of. Like, so yeah, so I bought a watermelon. Like,
But
for
that
example,
makes
I know
sense.
a lot of these food lines have the seeded watermelons back. They're not organic, but I buy those still. So I still use those. So it's not, don't get so caught up on there's a such thing as the clean 15 and the dirty dozen. If you ever get confused, all the things on the dirty dozen, that means you buy those organic every time. The clean 15 are the things that you don't have to buy organic and they're still okay. So that would be like mushrooms, avocado. There are things that you don't have to, so don't kill yourself looking for that organic tag everywhere. It's not,
Right.
that.
Right.
Now, Tanisha, I will tell you, I do buy that fruit from the farmer, like on the side of the road. I'm praying that that's organic because I see it come out the dirt, but I don't know what they've sprayed on it, but I buy that.
Yeah,
that's probably better. But I tell people all the time, the less your food is traveled, the best it is anyway. We need to get back to that, buying from farmers markets and people who are growing it even locally, because even down to, this is how amazing plants and vegetables and growing things is. And now we can quickly segue from this, but the soil knows the mineral deficiencies of the people in the region. This is why bananas are different, apples are different, oranges are different, depending on, you can have a banana from Venezuela and one from Argentina. I'm just making up two different places, but the reason that there's two different apples is because the earth knows that there's that people in this region need maybe they need more vitamin A. So these apples are higher in vitamin A. Over there, they need more selenium. So those pears are naturally higher in selenium because the earth takes deposits from when we use the restroom. It samples literally us and it finds out the nutrient deficiencies of regions, which is why there are different mangoes and different this and different that. Because nature is, it's amazing. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
So the less your food is traveled, if you can get the blueberries that came from Cary, North Carolina, and not Mexico, that's what you would want. That's what you want.
Mm-hmm. That's good information. Miss Tissa said her grapes weren't either. Well, that's all right. We're taking baby steps. We're taking what we're learning and applying it. We're not going to be overnight with it. So I think that's great. At least we know. I think that's step one, is knowing. I think April mentioned earlier about buying meats and things from local farmers. Yes, I know they're having a hard time right now too. Local farmers with things, but what a information. I tell you, that I know our time is running out. We had talked about a few things that we wanted to mention, and I know the light Oak is going to drop us around about 6. If we go a little longer, we'll be on our pages. I was going to ask that too, Sonia. Sonia Wilson said, "What about frozen fruit?" Because I do smoothies with that.
Honestly, those are easier to buy organic. I'll buy frozen fruit, but I'll buy the organic berries. Like those, honestly, are a little easier to find organic. So because I do buy frozen fruit, I typically err on the side of organic for those as well.
Right. So there's your answer, Sonia. I think I do frozen fruit as well. I think I did some of those, but I didn't even think about buying it organic. I just buy frozen fruit.
Right.
Pesticides.
Jarrin, you helping us out so much. I can't see what Miss Linda said. Hey, Linda.
Linda said that's why you can only get the real Vidalia onions grown only in Vidalia, Georgia because of the soil.
Mm-hmm. That's a real thing.
Ah,
Nature
it's
That's
your
knows.
interesting.
hometown.
Right.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't know that either.
Woo woo. But we don't have much time left, but I hope you ladies have taken your notes and got some great information, Jarrin. You've given us so much information. I'm definitely gonna have to go back, and everybody's gonna have to go back and re-listen to this stuff, this good stuff. One other thing that we did want to talk about, Janet, and I don't know if we have time, but we wanted to kind of mention about I don't think we're gonna have time though. We're gonna talk about dating. We can't even open that thing up right now because we have less than 10 minutes.
We have 5 minutes,
We
T.
have 5 minutes. That's less than 10. So we can't even open that, Jarrin. So you already know part 3 coming.
Listen, as many parts as you need me for, I'm not mad at it. So me, that's my fault because we get on our little asides and tangents.
No,
Okay? So
it was good. And this
Was good.
This was great information. Like seriously, I'm special with the protein. I'm buying premium drinks like crazy. Anyway, it
Girl,
was
the
great.
Protein plug. If you want to get some protein, get some hemp, HEMP, hemp protein. It comes in the powder just like that. There you go. That's a good trade-off, and it's natural. It is a natural protein. It doesn't have all that extra stuff in it. Hemp protein powder, just like regular protein powder, is a great alternative.
Yeah, because trying to work out, and that's my who I work out with, she's like, you got to get that protein in every day, 60-90. I'm like, what? I don't get protein. I'm eating an egg, boiled egg. But yeah, so that's really important. And exercising and moving and walking. Jarrin, please just plan to come back. We tried to get it all in 60 minutes, y'all. We tried.
It's okay.
Part three.
I'm okay with that. Listen, y'all are family.
He's okay with it. We're okay with it, y'all. But let's see, Linda. Can you see it?
She said the next time I go to Vidalia, I'll bring you ladies some of the Vidalia onions so that you can compare them to the ones you get here in the grocery store. So Thank you, Linda.
Yes, I love onions, period. But yeah, that would be great. Jarrin, just wait for the call. April says, I can't see hers either. What about?
It says, what about grass-fed, grass-finished protein that is in higher quality? What about that?
The biggest thing is that I've learned that's been a large myth in America. If you look up grass-fed cows, they're doing the same thing to them as conventional cows. They have their heads stuck in these little metal bars and they're just dumping grass on top of them. These are not cows that are in pastures and in fields. They're industrialized and taking these medicines as well. So when it comes to grass-fed, I just encourage everyone, just look it up on YouTube. They're still in these same conditions as the conventional cows. The only difference is they're just dumping grass that has been grown with all these things on top of them in that way as well. So fortunately, maybe slightly better, but I say all that to say grass-fed isn't what you think about, a cow just in the pasture grazing naturally on grass. That's not what it is. Those cows are still being highly industrialized and being fed a lot of those medicines. That's the big thing, those antibiotics as well. Those grass-fed cows are still getting a lot of those things too.
Wow. Jarrin, thank you so much for being with us again today. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen in the comments, thank you all for participating, for your comments and for your questions. Just look for it next couple of weeks. We have maybe about 2 more weeks. I'll give you a break this time since we got the next couple of weeks spots filled. But look forward to having you back for part 3, Jarrin. Thank you so much. And you all have a great evening. Thank you for tuning in to Candid Conversations every Tuesday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard, right here on Oak 93.5. Bye, y'all. Bye, Jarrin. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course.
All right.